Today is Saturday, May 31st, 2005. I'll give people a chance to join before we start. And we hope everyone had a fun and safe Memorial Day weekend. We did not have a live stream last week, but we're back on schedule now to doing it every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern, and hopefully you can join us. And we have a lot to discuss today. Before I open this up to everyone, I am going to discuss defending the Second Amendment, which is what we're here for. And welcome aboard from Indonesia. I'm sorry I can't pronounce your name. Always glad to have new people. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate that. Channel is still small, but we are growing. I anticipate having 6,000 subscribers in the next couple of weeks. My goal is 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I'm probably going to fall a little short on that, but it may have been a little bit too aggressive of a goal, but we're going to try for it anyway. All right, so the first thing I want to do today is talk about defending the Second Amendment, and then I'll open it up to questions and comments like I always do. This is our primary purpose, is to fight and defend our Second Amendment, because we're only one mass shooting or one election away from losing our Second Amendment rights, and we need to fight for them. You can't take it for granted. I used to live in the state of New Jersey, and fortunately we moved to the great state of Tennessee. And it's amazing how different gun laws are from state to state. For instance, in New Jersey, only 8.9% of New Jersey residents own guns, meaning that about 14.7% of homes in the state have firearms. New Jersey has issued 33,000 carry permits. Now, if we compare that to Tennessee, where we live now, 46.9% of adults in Tennessee own guns. Tennessee has a population of 7.2 million, and 700,000 Tennesseans held handgun carry permits, representing 1 out of every 10 residents. And that's a lot. You need to fight for your Second Amendment rights. Just owning a gun isn't enough. And if you're a gun owner that does nothing to support or fight for your rights, You can't complain when you lose them. You need to stay informed and keep up to date on current gun laws, regulations, and proposed legislation at federal, state, and local levels. I constantly monitor uh, gun bills that are being introduced in the state of Tennessee, as well as other states. Engage in advocacy and political process. Join gun right organizations to support and participate in gun right organizations and Second Amendment rights through lobbying, litigation, and public awareness, such as the NRA or Gun Owners of America. Now, to be honest with you, I belong to NRA and I recently joined Gun Owners of America. And the only reason I still belong to the NRA is because I needed to maintain my pistol certification. In my opinion, I think Gun Owners of America does much more for our gun rights than the NRA does. Over the years, Wayne LaPierre of the NRA took most of the money for his lavish lifestyle. You also need to contact your elected officials and communicate with your elected representatives at all levels of government. I contact mine all the time. I sign petitions for all states, not just mine. Vote for pro-Second Amendment candidates. Support legal challenges. And boycott businesses that are anti-gun. You know, it's very interesting. If you Google businesses that are anti-gun, you'd be very surprised at some of the companies you see on there. Some of the products you may own and love. For instance, Levi Strauss. I was shocked to find out that Levi Strauss is anti-gun. So I basically got rid of all of my Levi jeans. I tossed them and I bought Lee Riders. Buffalo Wild Wings. My wife and I took the bike to Virginia a few years back, and we went into a Buffalo Wild Wings, and they had a sign up that said "No firearms." Well, I'm no longer going to support Buffalo Wild Wings. So there's a lot you can do. Boycotting businesses, paying attention to state representatives. For instance, State Representative Frank Burns voted against constitutional carry on the Pennsylvania House floor. I bet you that there's Pennsylvania residents that don't even know about that. I check gun laws and gun bills, and I sign petitions in every state just to protect our gun rights. One thing to keep an eye on is H.R. 38, which was introduced in the House, that will allow constitutional concealed carry reciprocity. We did score a major victory, though. The House passes H.R. 1 to remove suppressors from the NFA, and now it goes to the Senate. And that is a major hurdle because the National Firearms Act, they should really change NFA to mean not fucking allowed because they try to ban everything. But right now, the way it looks is that suppressors will no longer require a $200 tax stamp. So that is a major, major victory. Next thing on the list for that is short-barreled rifles. Some more gun-friendly news. 83 million people own at least one gun. There are 60 million firearms registered in the United States, and that's because some states don't require registration of firearms. And 1 in 20 people purchased firearms during the pandemic. So it's amazing how all of a sudden, since the pandemic, we're getting more and more firearm owners. One thing I would like to see, and Gun Owners of America is fighting to try to restore Second Amendment rights for felons that are nonviolent. Right now, it's cut and dry. If you're a felon, including President Trump, you can't own a firearm. And they're trying to change it where felons that are nonviolent and not dangerous should be able to own a firearm, such as embezzlement, money laundering, inside trading, tax evasion. Even though they're felons, those people are not dangerous. They're not going to hurt anybody. And just because they have the label of felon attached to them, they're not allowed to own a firearm. And I'm sorry I missed living the best life. Welcome. Good to see you. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time out to join us today. It's a beautiful day here in Tennessee. There's a lot of other things people could be doing, and glad you're trying to spend it with us. So that's my view on the Second Amendment. We fight for our Second Amendment rights every day. I sign petitions in every state, not just my own, and we have to keep fighting. You can't be complacent, and like I said earlier, if you're a gun owner and you do nothing to support or fight for your gun rights, then you also forfeit the right to bitch and moan about it. It's your responsibility. Find out about gun laws, find out who your representatives are, encourage them to vote for or against certain gun laws. And Spartan Runner, you appear to be new. Welcome to the channel. I appreciate that. If you haven't done so, please hit the subscribe button. Greatly appreciate that as well. We are a small channel, but we are trying to grow. We do this weekly live stream every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. And I'm glad you are not new. Welcome back then. And we just love to engage with our audience. And thank you for being a subscriber. I have some giveaways. I will be giving away a magazine carrying pouch from 945 Industries. I will put my email address in the chat. And if you're interested, send me an email with your shipping address and I will get it out to you. There you go. I was at a few gun stores today, and I got to tell you, walking into a gun store, it's getting harder and harder for me to find a gun that just screams at me to bring me home. Maybe it's because I own so many of them, but when I walk into a gun store, it's really got to wow me. I mean, I can't even give my money away. I go in there looking for a new gun. I just can't find one that appeals to me anymore. I have so many 9mm, I won't be getting any more of them. So as far as handguns go, it'll probably be 1911s or revolvers because I'm tired of having hundreds of different magazines for different guns. I am still interested in getting a lever action rifle. That is on my list one day. So I'm going to open this up to you guys. If you have any firearms related questions or comments about specific firearms, please feel free. This is your live stream. So you can enter anything you want as long as it's related to firearms and the Second Amendment. And hello, James. Welcome to the chat. Appreciate having you. And Randall P., welcome back. Always good to have you, brother. Ask your question. I'll be happy to answer it. That's what this is for. No such thing as a dumb question. The worst thing is not asking. So go ahead, Randall. The floor is yours. And welcome, Danny. Uh, Sig or Glock? That's a great question. I used to be a Glock poster boy. And one day my wife said to me, why don't you try buying a gun you don't have? So I went out and I bought a Sig P320, and I bought it in 9 millimeter. And I liked it so much that I bought it in 45 and 10 millimeter. And I got to give the nod to SIG, especially for the modularity. I like that Sig Sauer put the serial number on the fire control unit. This way, that's considered the firearm. So you could buy grip modules, you could buy barrels and slides that you can't buy for a Glock. I bought Wilson Combat grip modules for my SIGs. I also like that you can mix and match barrels and slides. And out of the box, I think my SIGs shoot better than the Glocks do. So if I had to pick one, Danny, I would go with the SIG. And Randall, what if any frames from Glock will your Glock 45 fit? I think the Glock 45 is kind of a strange bird. I think you're pretty much stuck with the 45, with the Glock 45 components. James, I have a Keltec Sub 2000 Gen 2, and I got it for stupid cheap. But even on the Gen 3 of the Keltec Sub 2000, what I don't like about it is that the feed ramp is made out of polymer. So it is going to eventually wear down or melt or what have you. I wound up going out and buying the Smith & Wesson FPC in 9 millimeter. And to be honest with you, I would spend extra money and get the Smith & Wesson. I think it's a much better gun. It's got a stainless steel feed ramp. No, I'm not talking about the trigger, James. I'm talking about the feed ramp. The feed ramp is still plastic on the Keltec. They did not change that. And yes, Randall, the Glock 19 frame does not fit on the Glock 45 slide. One option you may want to try is you may want to go and try the Palmetto State Dagger. They're a lot of fun that you can switch all the parts out. And now Bear Creek Arsenal makes a Grizzly as well. But I got to tell you, for the money, for $399, I've seen them for $370. The Ruger RXM is Glock Gen 3 compatible, and it's a great value for the money. And I agree with you, James. For $315, the Keltec is a great gun. Don't get me wrong. I still have mine, and I won't part with it. And it's a great gun for what it is. I'm just saying that if you had the extra money and you had to pick one, I'd go with the Smith & Wesson. Not only because of the feed ramp. Overall, I just think it's a better build quality. But you can't go wrong for the price on the Keltec. It is made in the USA with a lifetime warranty. And M Carbo has got tons of aftermarket accessories for it. And that's a good question, James. The reason they aren't discussed more, and if you're referring to here, I can only discuss what I have experience with. I don't have experience with the Masada, so I can't really speak about it. Unlike some people on channels, if I don't know, I don't mention it, or I say I don't know. Um, I just can't talk about something I don't know anything about. And historian, welcome to the channel. You're interested in purchasing a pistol, likely a Glock. How would you safely handle a misfeed? Well, the best way to handle a misfeed, first of all, is to remove the magazine and rack the slide. And then you have the double tap where you just pound the bottom of the magazine like that and try to rack it. And that's the tap and rack. But to be safe, remove the magazine and try racking the slide. And hopefully, you'll realize it's a misfeed before you try shooting another round. Yeah, Randall, the daggers have been around for quite a while now. But Bear Creek Arsenal, the Grizzlies are fairly new. I looked at them and they're really good quality. I just wish they would be available in 45 ACP. Like I said, I have 18 9mm. I don't need any more. I won't buy any more 9mm. I'm always up for more 45s and 10s or revolvers, but I've had my fill with 9s. And Bear Creek Arsenal is a good company. They're made in the USA. They're in North Carolina. I can't speak for the quality of a Grizzly. I've never shot one, but it looks to be very well made. But I use the Bear Creek Arsenal upper receivers all the time. I built a shitload of AR pistols using them. I built them in 5.56 and 300 blackout, and have never had a misfire. And you can't beat them for the money. You find them on sale. I got my Bear Creek Arsenal upper receivers, complete uppers, with the bolt carrier group and everything, for under $200. And if you're thinking of building an AR, you have to be really careful when you're looking at complete uppers. A lot of the uppers, when you look at the price and you read the small print, they do tell you does not include bolt carrier group. And that is included on all the Bear Creek Arsenal. I know I said earlier to James that if I had to pick one, I would pick the SIG. And I got to tell you, there is one Glock that I really do like a lot, and it's the Glock 19X. And when Sig Sauer and Glock submitted their firearms to the military for review, the Sig Sauer P320 beat out Glock as far as price goes. So that's why Glock made the 19X available to the civilians. And I think the Glock 19X is probably the best gun Glock has ever made. The 19X gives you the best of both worlds. You get the full-size grip module of the full-size Glock 17 with the compact slide of the Glock 19. It is, ironically, the only Glock that is not available in black. It's only in Coyote, but it does accommodate 19-round magazines, and it does come with a 20-round magazine as well. So in my opinion, I think the Glock 19X is the best Glock ever made. Yeah, and as far as the 45s go, Randall, I don't know if you've seen my review, but I recently purchased the Ruger American Compact in 45 ACP, and that is a great gun. But for me, looking at 45s, I'm probably going to go with 1911s because um, all of my semi-automatics in 45 ACP all have proprietary magazines. So um, if I do get any more 45s, they'll definitely be 1911s. I just don't want to warehouse any more magazines. It's just such a pain in the ass going to the range and finding out that, you left your SIG 45 ACP mag at home, as opposed to I could bring 10 1911s and they'll all use the same magazine. So that is something to take into consideration. And as far as magazines for 1911, I have found that the Wilson Combat Mags and Chip McCormick are by far the best. Yes, I know that Glock 45 is a 9mm. I know it is not a 45 ACP. When you said looking for a 45, I thought you meant caliber. You didn't mention Glock 45. So back to the magazine. So when I got my Colt government model, I found it was very finicky, and I was blaming the gun. And then I got my Wilson Combat magazines, and the problem went away. So the Wilson Combat magazines, in my opinion, work better than the original OEM magazines that come with the 1911s. And Supernova, I have not tried the 45 COA. So I'm sorry, I can't answer on that because I have not tried that. And who makes that? I don't think I've actually heard of a 45 COA. The aim point Glock. Nope, I've never seen it. Oh, it's a cut. I haven't sent out any of my slides to be cut. One thing that Glock does do, though, that aggravates the piss out of me is they charge you an extra $100 for the MOA version so that you can mount an optic. And that's just a pet peeve of mine, considering that the Ruger RXM for $370 is optic ready. And in my opinion, any pistol that's going to be marketed as a self-defense pistol should already be optic ready. You shouldn't have to pay an extra $100 for it like Glock makes you do. That just aggravates the shit out of me. I really wish to see in the future. I mean, Glock's a little dated right now. What I'd like to see is for Glock to do what other gun manufacturers are doing. Smith & Wesson's doing it on some, Ruger's doing it, Sig Sauer's doing it, Springfield is doing it. I'd like to see Glock start putting the serial number on the fire control module so that you can swap out the Glock frames without having to go to an FFL. If you go to PSA, they have a lot of really cool grip modules, but because they're Glock Gen 3 compatible, you need to go to an FFL. But I would really like to see sometime for Glock to make their guns modular like everyone else so that you can swap out grip modules and barrels and slides, etc., without going to an FFL. I think, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, and Glock is always a little bit late. And I get it that it's a Glock and it's like a cult, and they made a very hefty living off of people buying Glocks because of the name and reputation. But, Glock's not the only gun out there that's going to go bang every time. There's a lot of other guns out there now that are just as good as a Glock. I recently purchased the Ruger 5.7. It's kind of a goofy caliber. I've always wanted one, but 5.7s are fairly expensive, and FN makes one that's a little pricey for me. Smith & Wesson makes one now. But I got the Ruger 5.7 on sale for $399. And I got to tell you, it's a lot of fun to shoot. It's a little big and bulky, and the ammo's expensive, but there's very little recoil on it. And if you're thinking of getting a 5.7, I would highly recommend it. It's great for teaching people how to shoot because the recoil is very mild. It was designed to be a replacement for the 9mm as a NATO round, but that never happened. But I think it's still a good defense gun, and it is a lot of fun to shoot. And I'm hoping as it gets more popular, the ammo prices will come down. Right now, it's about $30 a box for 5.7 ammo. And it is not recommended that you reload your own. And we have other people out there, but unless you leave a comment, I can't see who you are. So feel free to say hello to everyone or leave a comment, ask a question. This live stream is for you guys. This is a chance that we can engage with each other, ask questions, compare horror stories about firearms, what you like, what you don't like. And if you like what we do and you've already subscribed, you may want to click on the store button. We have our Pro Gun coffee mugs. We have Pro Gun t-shirts. We don't make any money on them. That's just support merchandise that gets shipped to you directly. May also want to consider joining and becoming a member. We do have a lot of member benefits, and most of the videos are available for members first before they go public. And it helps us purchase more firearms and accessories to review for you guys. I received a bunch of stuff this week to review, so make sure you have your notifications turned on. I'll be reviewing them this weekend, so keep an eye out for those videos. They'll be released shortly. I have a new leather holster coming from VersaCarry. It's a limited edition. Jim Wheeler, welcome. You're new to the gun type 5.7. The 5.7, I got the Ruger, and the caliber is 5.7, and it is a goofy cartridge. It's kind of looks like a mini 5.56, and it was designed to penetrate soft body armor like Kevlar. It's a flat shooting gun, so the trajectory goes straight. So the 5.7 is more accurate than the 9mm at long distances because there's no drop off. The 9mm, I think, does have more penetration power, but you wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of a 5.7. And the recoil of a 5.7 is almost like a 22. It's very minimal, so your follow-up shots will be more accurate. And no, Miguel, nobody wants to share a Coke with me. But welcome, Miguel. Glad to have you. Again, it's a beautiful Sunday afternoon here, Saturday afternoon here. Um, you guys could be doing a lot of other things, so I appreciate you taking the time out to spend with me. And I love talking firearms, so and engaging with you guys, and that's why we do this every Saturday at noon. It's very difficult to pick a time that works for everyone. Um, there are, I tried it on a Sunday, and the time is hit or miss. So I'm just keeping it on a Saturday at noon. Whoever can make it can make it. Yeah, good one too, guy. So I was looking at revolvers today. I have a Colt Python Combat Elite. I have a Smith & Wesson 686, and I'm kind of leaning towards the Ruger GP 100. It's built like a freaking tank. But then I saw the Colt um, King Cobra, and I kind of like that too, but I'm still leaning towards the Ruger GP 100 only because I don't have a Ruger revolver. And the thing is built like a tank, it'll last forever. And it'll also give me an opportunity to compare the Ruger to the Smith & Wesson and the Colt. And don't get me wrong, I love my Colt Python, but that price tag at $1,500 is a little steep when you can go with the Ruger GP 100 for almost half price. They're only about $750. And again, to those of you who are new to our live stream, welcome. We're glad to have you. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate that. And we do this every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. So feel free to join. And we still have people out there. So don't be shy. Ask questions, or, if you have experiences, good or bad, with a firearm or a product, let us know. This is why we do this. Everybody can't buy every product out there, but you could save them from making a mistake or buying something you don't feel is worth the money. I did receive recently a optic from Zalissi, and it is the Otter Pro. So keep an eye out for my review on that. I think for the money, Zalissi Optics is the best bang for the buck. I mean, they're well under $200, and I'll put them up against my Holosuns any day. And Randall P., you still out there, buddy? If we have any revolver fans out there, I'd like to hear what kind of revolvers you have. As I said, I'm probably going to stick to revolvers and 1911s from now on. I do like the Springfield Echelon, though. That is one of my favorite 9mm. It's just that when it first came out, it was only available in the duty size version. Now they have a compact. If I would have waited, I would have probably opted to go with the compact version. But fortunately, we live in the great state of Tennessee, so um, it doesn't matter. I just open carry, which I usually do anyway. I'd like to hear from you guys on what your favorite pistols or rifles are. I'm just curious. I know everybody's not a Glock fan. And it's just 12:08. I know we normally do start this at noon, and um, I was in my uh, pro gun room getting ready to do some product reviews and um, decided to start it early. So, um, for those of you who normally tune in at noon, um, sorry about starting it a little early. I just want to get a early start. I have a bunch of products I need to review over the weekend, and takes quite a bit of time. So I'm hoping that after the stream is over, I can get some of the reviews done and keep an eye out for my reviews by having your notifications turned on. And who else do we have out there? Don't be shy. Type in a hello or your name or whatever, because I can't see who you are. It only shows me how many people are on the stream. And I do want to acknowledge everyone because I do appreciate you all joining us. And if I do miss anyone, I apologize for that. Um, it's very difficult for me to see everything scrolling in the small chat window on my laptop. So if I forget to acknowledge you or answer your question, it's because it scrolled by me and I didn't see it. So I apologize in advance for that. And for those of you who missed it earlier, we were talking about defending our Second Amendment rights. And as a gun owner, that is something that you need to do. Don't be complacent, even if you're in a gun friendly state, because uh, we're only one mass shooting or election away from losing our rights. And you need to constantly fight. Um, Contact your representatives in your state. Find out what gun bills, pro or con, are being brought up. Urge your representatives to vote for or against gun bills. Um, there's a lot of things you could do. Join a organization like the NRA or Gun Owners of America. We can't just sit by idly as a gun owner and complain that we're losing our rights. You have to fight every day. I signed petitions for gun owners in all states, not just my own. Um, I like to know what's being done. I like to know what bills are being introduced on federal, state, and local levels, and it's our responsibility. And Pure F and Evil, welcome. Glad to have you. Um, Yeah, I feel for you, brother. I really feel bad for you all in California to have to go through that 10-day waiting period bullshit. Um, you will like the Hellcat Pro. I got to tell you, um, the Hellcat Pro is probably one of my favorite firearms. I go back to that all the time. Um, that's the gun I carry at work. And the thing I love about the Hellcat Pro is that it's a micro compact, but you lose nothing. You get all the features of the big boys with the 15 round capacity, and it's only less than a half an inch thick, and it conceals very, very well. It shoots great. It's optic ready. I love the adaptive grip texture. The harder you squeeze it, the better it adapts to your hand. Um, I don't know, Pure F and Evil. I don't know if you bought the Gear Up package, but when I got mine, the Gear Up package I think was 5 1/4, and it came with uh, 5 magazines and a gun case, and it's a great value. Let me tell you that is one of my guns I will never get rid of. Um, every now and then, I'll look in my safe and I'll find a gun that I could live without, and I'll trade it in for something else. But that Hellcat Pro, that's a keeper, that's for sure. So, congratulations on that. You're gonna love it. I know that 10-day waiting period seems like forever, but when you get it, it'll be well worth the wait. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I forgot that California has a 10 round mag restriction, which is really stupid. I'm actually happy, though, that the Hellcat Pro made it on the approved list for California because um, that list, for some reason, never seems to add new firearms. And some of the things are just really stupid. Like um, the Glock 19 Gen 3 is on the approved list, but the Glock 19 Gen 5 is not. Same magazine capacity. So there's no rhyme or reason for it. It's just control. And I think it's really stupid that California even has an approved list. Um, if you're going to deem someone competent and qualified to own a firearm, you shouldn't be able to say, well, yeah, you're competent and qualified to own a firearm, but only these. It just makes no sense. And I'm really surprised that that hasn't been challenged and knocked down by the courts. Glock is getting banned in California. I did not know that. That 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 just cracks me up. So I'm assuming if Glock is getting banned in California, they're probably going to ban any pistol that's Glock compatible, like maybe the Palmetto State Armory Dagger or the Ruger RXM or any other pistol out there that's uh, Glock Gen 3 compatible will probably also get banned. Um, what's even worse in California are the laws regarding long guns like AR-15s. That's just stupid crazy. And I never could understand what the logic is for magazine capacity. So when we used to live in New Jersey, it used to be a 15 round capacity. And then Governor Free Stuff in the middle of the night with the swipe of a pen, Governor Murphy changed it from 15 rounds to 10. And I never could understand why there even was a magazine capacity. So what they basically are doing is they're arbitrarily pulling a number out of their ass saying 10 casualties is acceptable and 15 isn't, because there's no other reason to have a magazine capacity. So they really did just make up a number and say, we'll live with 10 casualties, but not 15. And this is why we need to fight for our rights on the federal level. I'm hoping to see with this new administration that all the gun laws are on the federal level, instead of all of these jerked off blue states doing whatever they want. And you know what? Even if they do it on the federal level, you're going to still have these far left blue states just not adhering to it and waiting for lawsuits before anything changes. And again, for those who are new to our live stream and our channel, thanks for joining us. We're glad to have you. And if you haven't, please subscribe. We'd appreciate that as well. And we do this for you guys. This is an opportunity to engage with our viewers and subscribers and have people ask questions about Second Amendment, firearms, and accessories, etc. If you have a question about a product or a firearm, feel free to ask, because it may stop you from buying a product that you may have thought would have been great and spending money on it and finding out after you got it. Pure Affinity, no. We're from New Jersey originally, but we now live in the great state of Tennessee. One of the reasons we left New Jersey was because of the stupid gun laws. In New Jersey, in order to buy a pistol, you had to apply for a pistol permit that only the chief of police can issue. And if they decide you're not of good moral character, they can deny you and you have no recourse. And pistol permit is only good for 90 days, and you're only allowed to buy one pistol with it. And it comes in 3 parts. You get one, the FFL gets one, your local police gets one. The problem with that is when New Jersey decided 15 rounds was illegal, my local police department must have been looking through all the permits, and they saw I owned a Glock 20 that has a 15 round capacity. And I received a letter in the mail saying if I didn't turn in my high capacity magazines by December 28th, I would become a Class E felon and they can confiscate my firearms. And that was one of the main reasons we left New Jersey. AG, that's a very interesting point that Connecticut just passed a law holding FFLs liable if a gun that they transferred is used in a crime. Ironically, in the great state of Tennessee, Governor Lee, who I think is doing a great job, just signed a bill that will no longer hold FFLs or gun manufacturers liable if someone uses one of their guns while committing a crime. Yeah, Connecticut is just not a good gun state either. Not as bad as California, but it's not a great gun state. even though the gun laws in Tennessee are very, very liberal here, um, we don't go through the federal NIC system. You don't need a permit to purchase a firearm. But there is a stupid thing on the books that for some reason they never vote to make it go away, and that is called the intent to go armed. And it is a crime with the intention of going armed. I've never heard anyone being charged with it, especially because we don't need a permit to carry in Tennessee, open or concealed. But for some reason, they just won't take it off the books. And it sounds like, this is one of these goofy laws they have on the books where they could use it to their advantage if they want to make an example out of someone. Fortunately, Tennessee has Republican control of the House and Senate. But if you get a Democratic sheriff or police chief that just wants to break your balls or give you a hard time, they can use that to charge you. I mean, it's just moronic. I mean, of course, when you leave the house with a firearm, your intention is to go armed. So how could that be a crime, especially when we no longer need a permit to open or conceal carry? And this is why we need to fight for our Second Amendment rights. And we need to fight for all of this bullshit gun laws that are on the state level to become federal. It should be no different in California than it is in Maine and all the states from one to the other and all in between. It should be one set of gun laws for everybody. And the Second Amendment is absolute. And this is what I just can't comprehend. It's not open to negotiation. Our forefathers wrote the Second Amendment to protect us from a tyrannical government, which we had in the Biden administration. And it doesn't even say in the Second Amendment that a felon can't own a gun. And, the government makes up all of these little bullshit things that are not in the Second Amendment. So I just don't understand why gun rights are just not regulated on a federal level. I mean, the Second Amendment wasn't written specifically for California or New Jersey or Tennessee. It was written for all people in every state. And this is why we need to fight for our gun rights. Owning a gun and sitting back and doing nothing is worthless. I mean, like I said earlier, we're one mass shooting or an election away from losing our rights. You have to fight every day. Sign the petitions. I sign petitions for states I don't even live in because I want to fight for gun rights for every American. I constantly contact my representatives. And if you missed it earlier, you should really Google companies that are anti-gun. It will amaze you at some of the companies on there. Some of the products may be products you're in love with and currently using. I was shocked when I found that Levi Strauss is anti-gun. When I heard that, I got rid of all of my Levi's and I replaced them with Lee Riders. A few years back, my wife and I took the bike to West Virginia and we were about to enter a Buffalo Wild Wings and they had a sign in the window that said no firearms allowed. And I've never been back to a Buffalo Wild Wings since then. Fight back. Don't patronize businesses that are anti-gun. There's plenty of them out there. You can Google them. You need to fight. You need to boycott Write your representatives, get familiar with all of the gun laws on federal, state, and local levels. Know who your representatives are that voted against pro-gun bills and who voted for anti-gun bills. So that's enough babbling for me for a while. Um, you guys, it's your stream, so if you have any statements you'd like to make or comments or questions, as long as they're Second Amendment or firearm related, that's what this live stream is for. So I'm going to open it up to you guys now. MRH 0661, welcome to the channel. Glad to have you here. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to our channel. I'd greatly appreciate that. Being that you're new to the channel, we do this live stream every Saturday at noon Eastern time. And I just love discussing firearms. I love the connection with my viewers and subscribers. This is a great place for you all to ask questions and get answers. No one knows everything, but everybody knows something. So it may be a question. If I can't answer, someone else can. You may be considering purchasing a firearm. It would be good to ask maybe somebody out there that has one that could tell you what they like or don't like about it. I don't have all the answers, but if I don't have them, I can get them for you, and I will, and I'll tell you I don't know. But again, welcome to our live stream. We love doing this. Again, this is for you guys, so feel free to ask your questions and introduce yourself. And by the way, disagreement is a good thing too. We can't all agree on everything as long as disagreements are respectful. I have no problem with having arguments here about topics as long as we're respectful. You have an FPC coming next week. I'm assuming you mean the Smith & Wesson. I bought the Smith & Wesson FPC in 9mm. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite guns. I should have waited. You haven't been on my channel. I'm a huge fan of the 10mm. And if I would have known they were coming out with it in 10mm, I would have waited. However, I have a boatload of 9mm ammo, and I do love the Smith & Wesson FPC, so I won't ever get rid of the 9, but I may actually wind up buying it in 10mm as well. And I'm glad they didn't go with 40 caliber. They went with 10 because you could shoot 40 caliber out of a 10. Kishan Kenem, what do I think of the Uzi? I think the Uzi is great. I don't own one, but years back I have shot one. And I got to tell you, from everything I've seen, you can't beat the quality of products made in Israel. Israelis know what they're doing. I have a lot of products made in Israel, and I can't say enough about them. Whether they're grip modules for my AR-15. I remember when I fired a Uzi a long time ago, the thing that makes it so reliable is because you could drop it in the mud and it's still going to fire. It is a great gun. And I'm sure any gun made by Israel is a good quality gun. Matter of fact, I even have a couple Uzi knives, and I bought them just because of the Uzi name. And I see we have more people that just joined us, so welcome all. It doesn't show me who's joining. It only tells me the number of people. So feel free to say hello to everyone. So California's handgun roster, every decrease. My Ruger P89 is not off the roster. Yeah, you know what? I never thought about that, but if you own a firearm in California that was on the list when you bought it, and then not on the list later, yeah, you pretty much are going to be stuck with a firearm that you can't sell. And maybe this is part of their plan to have these voluntary buybacks, because you can't sell them to an individual. And if you bought a gun that you don't like, you're pretty much stuck with it. Yeah, that sounds like a control issue with California, and maybe that's their intent. Take everything off the list. Now you'll never be able to sell your firearms, and your only choice to get rid of them is to go to the buyback program where they're going to offer you like $100. And that's too bad because, sometimes I'll buy guns that are not terribly expensive because everybody doesn't have the budget. And I like to review firearms of multiple price ranges. And fortunately, in Tennessee, we don't have a list. So, nothing stops me from taking 2 or 3 of my handguns and trading them in for something else. I do that time to time. However, I'm getting to the point now where I don't think I really have any guns that I'm willing to part with anymore. And even some lower price guns like the Ruger RXM, I only paid $399 for, but I'll never part with it. I think it's a great gun for the money. I will write down that IWI Slim. I've never heard of it or haven't seen one, but I will definitely look into it. I'm always looking for stuff to review. And again, the channel is growing, and we count on our support from our viewers and subscribers. I don't make enough money to constantly go out and buy new firearms. So all the firearms that I do buy are because of the supporters we have. Any income that I generate from YouTube is what I use to purchase firearms. And that's why I want to thank you all. I wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. We are small, but we are growing. I should have 6,000 subscribers, maybe even by the end of this live stream. My goal is 10,000 for the end of the year. I'm probably going to fall short, and it may just be too aggressive of a goal, but you need to have a goal. And I subscribe to the go big or go home philosophy, so I'm still going to go with the 10,000. And it is 12:36. We'll probably run this until 1 o'clock. There are always people that join later, and certainly if people are asking questions, I will not end it without giving people a chance to have their question answered. Again, if you like what we do, check out our store button on our channel. We have Pro Gun coffee mugs and Pro Gun t-shirts, and we don't make any money on those. They are shipped directly to you guys from the manufacturer. I also have a Pro Gun group on Facebook. I should actually put the link out here because we have a lot of subscribers there as well. And I just recently joined Gun Owners of America. I think they do a much better job than the NRA does. Gun Owners of America never compromises or settles. I do get the feeling that the NRA does sell out our Second Amendment rights from time to time. And I'm thrilled that Gun Owners of America are going to be having their convention in Knoxville, Tennessee in August. And being that we live in the great state of Tennessee, I will definitely be attending that August 9th through 11th, I believe it is. I did go to the NRA Expo in Dallas, Texas last July, and that was a great thing to see. I did have the privilege of seeing President Trump speak there, and he did promise to fight for our Second Amendment rights on a federal level. I know it's one thing to promise it, but we'll probably never see that in our lifetime because even on the federal level, you're still going to have these goofy states doing whatever they want, knowing they're going to get sued, having it tied up in court for so long that by then a new administration is going to come in and squash it all. My feeling is that President Trump has to do everything in his power he can in 2 years to protect our gun rights, because after that, the midterms, everything could change. And come on, guys, don't be shy. You have questions, feel free to ask. Make comments about firearms you like or don't like, products you like or don't like. I just received some products, and if you haven't seen my reviews, I am very unbiased. Just because someone sends me a product to review doesn't give them a pass. Matter of fact, I'm going to be reviewing some products this weekend, and one of them is not going to be a good review, even though they sent it to me. I would not tell you to go out and buy a product, or I would not endorse a product if I wouldn't go out and buy it myself. I know there's a lot of YouTube channels out there that, you know, when they get things sent to them, everything is a great product. Well, I don't do that. I'm brutally honest. There's some products I really went off on, like I have a video I did a while back on We the People holsters, and even though they sent it to me, I still say, in my product, in my opinion, We the People have the worst products on the market. Every product they have is a piece of crap, and I wouldn't recommend that for anyone. And as I was saying earlier, I went to the gun store this morning. My dog, Dallas, loves going to the gun store with me. And I was trying to find something. And it's getting harder and harder for me to find the gun I want. I walk into a gun store now and nothing just screams, take me home. It's probably because I have so many of them now. But you can never have too many guns. But it's just getting harder and harder. Unless you all have some suggestions on something I should look at, but I just haven't seen anything that makes me want to buy it. That's probably why I'll start going back to revolvers and 1911s. I just have too many 9mm, so I won't be buying any more of them. And I don't like having, you know, I must have 200 magazines for all the different guns I own. It's such a pain in the ass going to the gun range to remember to bring extra mags for a specific gun, as opposed to bringing a revolver or a 1911, which will use any magazine. Um, I could bring 10 1911s and use the same mags as opposed to 10 different 9mm or 45 pistols that are not 1911s. And now I have to bring a whole bag full of mags to the range, and just a pain in the ass. And we still have people here, so feel free to comment. I'm sure you all get tired of hearing me rant, and I do tend to digress. So feel free to shout out. It is 12:43. We will end this at 1 o'clock unless someone is asking questions or if there's a dialogue. Sometimes that happens right before we end, and I will extend it if that is the case. What would I recommend in 38 Special? Okay. The reason I'm struggling with this is I don't understand why people would buy a 38 Special when you can buy a 357 Magnum and shoot 38 Special out of it, unless it's for weight and concealability. But Ruger makes a great 38 Special. Smith & Wesson Airweight is nice. And believe it or not, even Taurus makes nice 38 Specials. I'm also a big fan of Charter Arms. Charter Arms has a nice collection of 38 Specials, and I have a few of them. My wife's got a Charter. Charter Arms are made in USA with lifetime warranty, and they're reasonably priced. And what I would recommend is kind of vague because I don't know what your budget is. You could spend $250 on a gun or $700 or $800 on a gun. Axel, probably. Welcome, buddy. What's my everyday carry? That is a great question. I go back and forth between a few guns, but my everyday carry is the SIG P320 10mm. That is normally what I carry. I do switch to the Glock 19X every now and then. I don't own any Safe Queens, so I do at one time or another carry all of my guns. I carry my Hellcat Pro. I even carry my Colt Python. But for the most part, my everyday carry is the SIG P320 comp in 10mm. And if I'm not carrying a 10mm, then my next choice is my Glock 30 45 ACP because it conceals very well and it is a man stopper. You know what, Axel? I hear so many people crying about the P320. They probably don't own one, and they watch too much of this bullshit news. I got to tell you, I've had my 320 for a couple of years now. That issue has been addressed. My P320 has never, ever misfired, and I carried a 320 appendix. I've never blown off my nuts. And I guarantee you that 9 out of 10 times when the P320 misfired, it was because of operator error. And it was either holstering or unholstering the firearm with a holster that wasn't made for the gun and poor trigger discipline. Because if that was so true, that the 320 just goes off by itself, Sig Sauer wouldn't be in business anymore. So you got to take that with a grain of salt when you watch all this internet news. And normally, every time you hear it, it's just like the people that complain about a Taurus. Most people that complain about a Taurus have never owned one. It's a friend of a friend of a friend said Taurus sucks. Now, Taurus did turn out a lot of shit in Brazil in the 80s, but the quality control has increased tremendously. I own Tauruses. I've never had a problem with any. You know what? The Canik is a great gun. I have the Canik Elite SE, and it's very well made. They're made in Turkey. They're a great quality gun. And actually, if you take the Canik and you put it side by side with a Walther, it almost looks identical. You can't beat the Canik for the money. It's a great gun. So that is a good choice. And Axel, as far as the 320 goes, the first SIG P320 I bought was 9mm. I liked it so much, I bought the 320 in 45 ACP. I liked that so much, I bought the 320 in 10mm and have never had misfires. Now, I'm not saying if you drop a 320 that it won't go off, but I find it hard to believe that any gun just goes off. I mean, I've had guns for 40 something years. My guns never shot anyone, and my guns never just went off. I mean, unless you're Alec Baldwin, I'm just not buying that a gun just fires by itself. Um, Axel, to answer your question, I know sometimes it comes across that I'm not a fan of the 9mm and I wouldn't carry it. But that's really not true. I do carry the SIG P320 9mm. I love my Hellcat Pro 9mm. I do carry my Glock 19X 9mm. Um, and I know I do say it a lot that I'm not a big fan of the 9mm. It's not because there's anything wrong with it. And it's not because it's not a capable round. It's perfectly capable for defense. 9mm evolved a lot over the past 10 years, especially now using 147 grain hollow points. The only reason I'm not a big fan of 9mm is because 40 something years ago, when my daddy taught me to shoot, he taught me to shoot a 357 Magnum and a 45 Long Colt. So to me, 9mm really was just going backwards. Not that there was anything wrong with it. And Pure and Evil, it's my pleasure to be streaming. Hope to catch you again. We do this every week. And have a blessed weekend, brother. We love you. So again, to continue with that, Axel, I do carry some 9mm, and I own 18 of them. And primarily it's because the ammo is cheap. I have a shitload of 9mm ammo, and I could buy 9mm ammo any day of the week in Tennessee for under $10 a box. The 10mm and 45 are expensive, so I reload my own. I apologize for babbling and digressing, but so again, it's that I'm not a 9 because that's not what I started to shoot on. I started with larger calibers. It's not because I don't like it. My dad would have taught me to shoot a 9 millimeter. It would probably be my favorite, but also another reason I like carrying 10 millimeter is because in Tennessee, in the woods, there's a lot of stuff that could kill you. Um, I go fishing by myself early in the morning. There were a couple times I was fishing and there were black bear in the water, 50 feet away from me. Um, if it came down to it, um, a 9 millimeter is just not going to penetrate the muscle and fatty tissue on a bear. 10 millimeter will take out anything on 2 legs or 4. And Axel, again, there's nothing wrong with a 9 millimeter. It's perfectly capable. It does a great job with penetration. AG, I'll get to you in 1 second, especially with 147 grain hollow points. You're good to go. AG, what do I do for my day job? That's a good question. Believe it or not, I'm a computer geek, specifically a data analyst. And I love data, so I do a lot of research and analysis. I love finding data regarding firearms. For those of you who didn't catch me in the beginning, some of my data analysis I did regarding firearms started out like this. We used to live in the state of New Jersey. In New Jersey, only 8.9% of the residents own guns, meaning that 14.7 of the homes in the state have firearms, and 33,000 New Jersey residents have permits. When I compare that data to the data in the great state of Tennessee, where 46.9% of adults in Tennessee own guns. Tennessee has a population of 7.2 million people, and 700,000 Tennesseans held gun permits. That represents 1 in every 10 residents. And I just love analyzing data, especially when it comes to firearms. I also, after doing data analysis, found that 1 in 20 people purchased firearms for the first time during the pandemic. Probably some of them, I would imagine, were even anti-gun people. So that is what I do. I pretty much analyze data for a living. Yep, Texas is America. It's you can't go by the stats. If you go by the stats, I'm sure California has the most gun owners only because of the population. But Tennessee is a great state. It was on our list. Actually, we were going to originally move to to Texas, until we stayed with friends of ours for a few days and realized it was just too damn hot there. But Texas is a great state for gun owners, and love Governor Abbott. Actually, Tennessee is not even as gun friendly as Texas is, but it's very gun friendly. But I think Texas is probably, other than Montana or Wyoming, probably the most gun friendly state in the country. And this is why I love doing this. I love the interaction. I love these discussions regarding firearms and Second Amendment and products and accessories. And I love engaging with you guys, and we love you all. So we appreciate all of you for doing this. There's a lot of other things you could be doing with your time, and we're just grateful that you choose to spend it here with us. Let's see. It's a great state for guns for sure. And good for you, Axel. Everybody should carry. I know there's a lot of gun owners um, that don't carry, and I just don't understand the logic of that. You should carry every day. I mean, unless you live in a state that doesn't allow you to do that. But I do know gun owners that live in gun friendly states, and even people with carry permits that just don't carry. Um, you should carry a firearm everywhere you go. Carry a firearm at home. My wife and I have a firearm at home all the time. Why? Because, contrary to popular belief, most home invasions happen between 10 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, not in the middle of the night like they show you on TV. Um, I can't imagine why people live in states that are not gun friendly. I guess it's because my wife and I used to live in New Jersey, but we grew up there and it was a great state to live in. When I was a kid, my dad had a carry permit, and uh, all of a sudden they became far left and the carrier permits went away, and uh, owning guns went away. It wasn't always that way. And that's why I'm saying we need to fight for our Second Amendment rights, because, we're only one election away from losing our gun rights. And, you just can't be satisfied that you live in a gun friendly state. It takes more than that. It's your responsibility as a gun owner to fight for your rights. And good for you, BC. I'm proud of you. Um, Everybody should carry a firearm. Not only that, everybody should have um, and I did a review I did a podcast on this. Everyone should have a safe room and a plan in their house. And everyone should have a room that they can go to for camouflage and cover. What do you do if you're sitting in the living room watching TV and somebody busts through the front door and your firearm is in your safe? A lot of damn good that firearm is going to do. And what room do you go to go for cover or camouflage? You need to have a plan, and you need to practice your plan on a regular basis, because when it happens, it's too late. And I got to tell you, there are a lot of people out there that think just owning a firearm and keeping it on their hip is by magic going to protect them in a time of need. You need to dry fire practice. You need to train at the range. You need to do drills at home on, if somebody breaks into your home, what's the safest room you can go to? If you don't do any of that, when the time comes, isn't the time to wonder. Yes, there's a lot of colleges now that allow kids to carry, and I think every school should allow people that are not felons to carry. People would think twice about, going into a college and killing our kids if they knew students can defend themselves. But owning a gun is not enough. If you're not dry fire practicing, you better be. You can't get to the range. You have no excuse for not dry fire training. There's a lot of great products out there like Mantis Laser Academy. Watch my reviews. I've done them. Dry Fire Mag, etc. Most of the best quality shooting you're going to do is from dry fire practice. That's where you do all the heavy lifting. Going to the range, really, you're just putting holes in paper, and all you're doing is validating that your dry fire training worked. You don't need to spend a shitload of money at the range to be a good shooter. Competitive shooters dry fire practice all the time. And there's a lot of things that you can't do at a range. And the only way you're going to be able to do them is to dry fire practice at home. Most ranges won't allow you to shoot using a holster or moving side to side or forward and backwards or shooting around corners. There's just a lot of things you can only do dry fire training. And again, a lot of gun owners go out there, buy a gun, never go to the gun range. Matter of fact, they don't even go to the gun range and shoot the ammo that they're carrying in their gun. If you're carrying with hollow points, when you go to the range, you better shoot some hollow points so that you know how your gun is going to respond. And it is 1:03. And unless people have comments they'd like to make or questions they'd like to ask, I'll end this in 5 minutes to give people a chance. If people do have a dialogue that they want to continue, I will keep this going. BC, a shot timer is essential. And matter of fact, I did a review recently for a shot timer from Zohan, and it is a great tool, especially when you do it in par mode. It's definitely a way to make you shoot more accurately, faster. With a shot timer, you could set it to 3 seconds and practice how many shots you can get off. I think I still have mine set up for that. It's extremely loud. I have the Packed Club timer, but I also have this one. And it is a great tool. And this is what it looks like. Here's what it does. Right? So you set your timer and it'll set up your delay. And then after the delay, it'll beep again. It is an invaluable tool, but I would also highly recommend Mantis Laser Academy. I did a comparison between Mantis Laser Academy and Strikeman, and I did a review on the Mantis X, and in my opinion, Mantis Laser Academy, bar none, is the best way to improve your shooting skills. I used my Mantis Laser Academy 2 to 3 days a week, dry fire training, and you will improve your shooting skills immediately using Mantis Laser Academy. So if you haven't done it, check out my videos. You can even search for Mantis. I have a bunch of videos I did on it. That is definitely the best money you'll ever spend, and you will improve your shooting skills immediately. A safe room, I'm sorry, BC, I didn't see your comment. A safe room is definitely a must for everyone, right? And when you're setting up the safe room, you should have a deadbolt. It should be a solid core door, preferably metal. It should be an interior room. If you have a room with a window, it's also good to have to be able to throw your keys out to law enforcement. And what you should keep in the safe room are a cell phone. Even a disconnected cell phone dials 911. You should have a defensive device like a pistol, um, a flashlight, and in an emergency, the safe room is where everyone should go. Your children should be instructed on how to go there. Um, I'm an NRA instructor and I teach personal protection inside the home. And one of the first things you'll learn is what to use for camouflage and cover. And there's a big difference. Camouflage is just where you're going to hide. Cover is where you're going to go where if they shoot at you, you'll be protected, like a filing cabinet, etc. But I got to tell you, most gun owners don't practice drills at home with a safe room. They just think the gun is going to protect them automatically. They have no game plan for, if you're sitting on a sofa and somebody busts through your door, what do? You should have a firearm under your coffee table with a magnet. You should be able to get the firearm in any room you are. Keeping your gun in the gun safe isn't going to help you when the time comes. Yeah, in BC, it's not like it used to be. Um, Back in the old days, when there was a home invasion, you'd have one guy strung out on crack. Now, when you see all these YouTube videos and Ring doorbell footage, it's not uncommon now to have two, three, even four people uh, busting into a home. And to make it worse, they're strung out on drugs, and some of them are even wearing body armor. Now, if they're strung out on meth, you may shoot them 3 or 4 times before you realize that they're either strung out and don't feel it, or they're wearing body armor. So I'll keep this going for a couple more minutes, and then I will end this until next time. Again, we do this every Saturday, 12 o'clock Eastern. Again, we appreciate everybody's support. And for those of you who just joined, this is done weekly. This is a chance for everyone to share knowledge with each other regarding the Second Amendment and firearms. This is for you guys. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel, share and like our videos. The more videos are liked or commented on, the more people it gets pushed out to, more revenue we generate. More revenue we generate gives us more products to review for you guys. We love having this interaction with you guys. A lot of the bigger channels forgot how they got big, and they got big because of supporters like you all. So we appreciate you. We love you all. Thank you all for joining us. We'll catch you next week. Thanks.